Well, good morning, everyone. This morning, I want to do it's not going to be a long video, I promise. It's going to be a short video, but I want to do a video on something as I was reading the Bible this morning that really just kind of like, it's something that I've shared before about, and I do a lot of stuff on spiritual warfare because I think that's one of my assignments is to share things that God has showed me over the years on spiritual warfare. As a matter of fact, when I first moved to Mississippi, it was such a God thing when I moved here. And I will never forget having this dream or this vision right after I moved here. And I saw myself on a certain part of the interstate. And when I passed this area, God showed me just like a super, He showed me warfare over this particular area of Jackson. And what has been very, very interesting is multiple times over the years when I've had visions or dreams, it's like I'm always in that same spot. And another thing, this is even more bizarre, and this has happened to me multiple times, multiple times. And another thing is my daughter has also had a dream, and when she had a dream, she dreamed about this particular spot in Jackson. Is that not just very interesting? But the first dream that I had when I first moved here, not too long after I moved here, I saw like a witchcraft spirit over this particular area. And witchcraft really is like it's rebellion, it's control, it's manipulation, it's all these things. And I really feel a lot of it goes hand in hand also. And I didn't know this when I first moved here, but I think it also goes hand in hand with the religious spirit. And so anyway, this morning as I was reading in Mark, I was reading about when the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Sanhedrin, they brought Jesus before the Sanhedrin, and they were before they crucified him. And anyway, so they brought him before the council, and they wanted to crucify him, they wanted to kill him, and they were doing everything they could to destroy him and to kill him. And so what I want to share is we all go through different kinds of warfare, and our warfare is of course not equal to Christ, because Christ paid the ultimate price for all humanity. But what I want to share is how when we're warfaring for something, when we're praying for something and we're going through a warfare season, we can literally identify the same spirits that came against Christ. Because these spirits, it doesn't matter how small a situation that you're going through, the enemy does not care if it's a big miracle you need or a small miracle you need. He still fights with the same spirits. And so I just want to read 3 or 4 scriptures here. I'm not going to keep it long, like I said, but I do want to encourage people that the same spirits, and it doesn't mean when you're going through this that what you're praying is not going to happen. As a matter of fact, it shows that you have some meat in the game, and it shows that you have some teeth in the game, and it shows that the enemy would do everything just to discourage us, because he knows that our Father will answer our prayer. So he is going to do everything he can to discourage us, to keep us from praying, to keep us from interceding. But we are no different than Jesus in the fact that we will go through spiritual warfare when we need a miracle or when we need God to come through for us. The enemy will do everything to discourage us and to get us to quit praying. So anyway, I just want to read a few scriptures. The first one that I want to read is one of the first tactics. So this is Jesus before the council. This is Mark 14, and it says, and this is verse 55. Now the chief priest and the whole council, the Greek Sanhedrin, it says the whole Sanhedrin, that was the meaning for council, were seeking testimony against Jesus. They were actually looking for people to find anything that Jesus had said that might incriminate him. Well, that's exactly what the enemy does to us. When we're going through something and we need an answer, well, he's going to try to find something that we've done or said to incriminate us so that we will just start looking at ourselves and say, oh gosh, and we know Jesus didn't. He was innocent, but we do things. We do things. And the enemy is constantly looking for something that he can use against us to bring shame to us. And maybe we will feel defeated and we'll say, well, maybe Jesus maybe I'm so bad I don't deserve this prayer to be answered. But anyway, let me read on. They were seeking testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found none. Maybe they're not trying to put us to death, but they're trying to put our dream to death. They're trying to put the thing we're praying about to death. Okay? And it says this, for many bore false witness against him, but their testimonies did not agree. And some stood up and bore false witness against him, saying, we heard him say, I will destroy the temple that is made with hands. Yet even about this, their testimony did not agree. And the high priest stood up in the midst and asked Jesus, have you no answer to make? What is this that these men testify against you? But he remained silent and made no answer. And the high priest asked him, are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? And Jesus said, I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven. So the second thing we see was not only did they try to bring all these people to testify against him, and then they tried to bear false witness against him. Well, believe me, the enemy is a liar, and he is a father of lies. So even if we have done things, he will twist it. He will turn it. He is the accuser of the brethren. He's the accuser. So he's going to be accusing us, attacking us. But guess what? Jesus did not answer until he said something that was true. And then Jesus said, he said, are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? And Jesus said, I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power. So that's what we have to do. When we're going through something and we're praying for something, we're going to have to say, get thee behind me, Satan, and you will see my God come through for me. You will see this answer play forth. You will see what God is going to do for me. Whatever your situation is, that's how we have to answer the enemy. We cannot, even when he's lying, he's accusing, and he's mocking, we still have to, attack him that way. Okay, so then it goes on to say in chapter 15 of Mark, it says, then they took him before Pilate, and Pilate asked him, are you the king of the Jews? And he answered, you have said so. And the chief priest again accused him of many things, and Pilate asked him, have you no answer to make? See how many charges they bring against you? But Jesus made no further answer, so that Pilate was amazed. And so we have to do this. Sometimes he'll bring a Pilate in our life, someone else that will come and will bring accusation against us. And so, we have to sometimes just be silent. Unless God gives us an answer, we remain silent. And so, anyway, Jesus made no further answer. And so then this is what happened. The crowd came and began to ask Pilate to do as usually he did for them. And he said, and Pilate says, because every year they would release, every year at this season, they would release one person out of prison. It was just a tradition they had. And so Pilate says, do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews? And for he perceived that it was not out of envy, but he perceived that it was out of envy that the chief priest had delivered him. But the chief priest stirred up the crowd to have him released instead Barabbas. And Pilate again said to them, then what shall I do with this man, the king of the Jews? And they cried out, crucify him, crucify him. And Pilate said, why? What evil has he done? And they shouted, crucify him. So the enemy a lot of times when we're going through something, he will stir up other people to come against us and resist us. And it becomes very difficult sometimes. Sometimes it will be even someone in your own family, and they know you're praying for something, and they will bring accusation against you, or they will cause you to feel defeated, or they will cause you to feel like you shouldn't pray for that, or that something's wrong, or that and literally they would just literally just bring more attack and more attack against you. And sometimes it's very hard to remain silent and to remain in faith and to hold out for your miracle. So I'm showing you the tactics of the enemy, all the ways that he comes against us to attack us, to cause us to lose hope, to cause us to be depressed, to cause us to be discouraged. Because sometimes the Lord does not always come immediately through for us. Because why? Because he is strengthening our faith. He is strengthening our perseverance. He wants to see what we're made of. He wants to see if we've matured in faith. And so we have to continue to stand for truth, for righteousness, for this miracle that we know that only God can do it for us. We cannot do it ourselves. We do everything we can do. When there's a situation, you do everything you can do. But when you come to the end of everything you can do, then we have God. And God changes our facts. God changes our situations, and he brings us miracles beyond things that we can do on our own. And the Bible says if we ask anything in his name, he shall do it. And sometimes there's many things that have to be taken care of under the surface. Other people sometimes have a hand in it, and God has to deal with other people's wills and things and situations. So we don't even know the things that's going on in the warfare in the heavenlies that's going on, but we have to keep standing. Okay, so as we all know, that they brought Jesus to be crucified, and so this is the last part I want to show you. So this is actually the crucifixion, and so they hung him up between two robbers and criminals. And it says, those who passed by, this is what they did when Jesus was on the cross. They derided him. They wagged their heads and said, aha, aha, you who would, and this is verse, let me tell you, start with verse 27. Let me just read what it says. I'll start with verse 26. And it says, the inscription of the charge against him read, the King of the Jews. Now, isn't that amazing? The inscription was prophetic. And it was literally who he was. They were literally proclaiming. And so even Jesus out-trumped the enemy in his crucifixion. Is that not amazing? And so it was written up there. And with him they crucified two robbers, one on his right and one on his left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads and saying, aha, you who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross. And Jesus could have. Jesus could have saved himself. Even when we can't, Jesus could have saved himself, but he didn't. He chose that route because he did it to redeem all mankind. And thank God that he did, that he did not let his emotions or his feelings to make the best of his situation and get himself off the cross, because the pain that he went. I'm not going to go through everything he went through for the beat and all that stuff and tormented, just beyond they said you couldn't even recognize him. So but he stood there, and that's how we have to be. Despite the mocking, the accusation, we have to continue to stand in truth in what our promise is. That's what we have to do too. And they were accusing him, you who did all these things, all these miracles, and now you're not saving yourself. And also the chief priests with the scribes mocked him to one another, saying, he saved others, yet he cannot save himself. Let the Christ, the King of Israel, come down from the cross, that we may see and believe. And those who are crucified him also reviled him. That one robber reviled him. But then at the 6th hour, this is verse 33, had come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. You know, sometimes before our miracle comes, it feels like the darkest hour. It feels like nothing is happening. But, okay, and at the 9th hour, okay, so there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? And some of the bystanders hearing it said, behold, he's calling Elijah. Anyway, so then it says, I'm going to skip a little bit, and it says, at verse 37, and Jesus uttered a loud cry and breathed at last, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion soldier who stood facing him saw this, that in this way he breathed his last breath, he said, truly, this man is the Son of God. And so sometimes in our standing, we're not just standing for ourselves. We are standing for those that are watching us. And we all know the story of Jesus, how he was dead for 3 days. He went down to the depth part of Sheol, and he preached to those that were in prison. And they even saw them on the earth later. That, you know, that many of the people that were dead come out of their graves, and people saw, their kinfolks, walking around. They saw people, they recognized these dead people, because Jesus went down and he paid the price even for them. And so, just like Jesus, we know he rose again and went, and many people saw him after he rose again. Just like Jesus went through all that and everything he went through, a lot of times we go through those same type spiritual battles. You can watch a death and a resurrection. For us, a lot of times it will feel like God has forsaken us. It's dark, and where is God when we need him the most? We can't feel him. A lot of times I know that when you're praying for a miracle, he feels like he is nowhere to be found. Just like Jesus felt. Jesus felt like God had forsaken him. God has not forsaken us. Just because we go through a darkness when we're praying for a miracle, y'all keep standing, because there is resurrection power coming out of that death. There's resurrection power coming for our miracle. And so, anyway, I wanted to share that with y'all, because it is, I know that we all go through seasons, and even it's the smallest miracle we need. I want to share this really quick, and then I'm going to close it out. Several years ago, this has probably been 10 or 12 years ago, I will never forget, I went through one of the greatest battles, and it had to do with the religious spirit in a church I went to. And God gave me the most simple little Christmas play. It was the most simple little play, and God put it on my heart to do this drama. Well, I shared it with one of the leaders at the church. I just shared it with her, but it was just the most simple children drama. But the Lord showed me how this drama was going to be such a spiritual assignment. I didn't really truly understand it at the time. So anyway, so they asked me to do this drama, and it, like I said, it was just the most simple little drama. But we drew. It was the story of Jesus. It was the story of Jesus in his birth, and so the story was laid out how I was the main character, in that I was like a teacher telling this story to a group of children. And so I sat there and I was telling this Christmas story. I was reading them the Christmas story. But as I read the Christmas story, then I had a group of adults actually acting it out, and we had these dancers. We had like Hebrew songs, and so different people, as I was reading the story, we would stop and they would act it out, and they would do these dances and these songs. And the last song was this song, and it was a song Eddie James does called God. I think it's called God. And this song is so powerful. It is just powerful song. And so for this song, we had everybody coming out with banners and just and dances and banners, and this anyway, you'd have to go look up that song by Eddie James. But anyway, so the warfare that I was going through, the whole thing was that they tried to cut certain things out of the drama, and the most powerful part of this song, they said, well, we can only have this much time for that song. And so I'm like, God, I know I can only have this song for a certain amount of time, but I've got to have this ending to this song, because this ending is like, it is so powerful. And the whole time this was going on, this took from August till December, there was so much spiritual warfare, so much attack against me, my daughter, and this one particular young girl. These were college age girls, or maybe they were in high school. No, maybe they were high school at the time. We were constantly attacked, and I would not open my mouth. I would not attack back. I would not say anything. I could not understand why this warfare was so great when I was asked to do this. It was like constant attack. I don't even want to go into it, because it was just so demonic. But I had a friend who told me that he could mix this song up and take part of it out and leave that part in. And so it didn't really matter that, what part was in the song, as long as I kept it at this time. This drama ended up being so anointed by God. It was the pastor came up to me and he said, I want you to be our like full-time drama person. And of course, he didn't know everything I'd gone through, because I never opened my mouth. I never said anything. I stayed in humility the whole time. I just prayed in the Spirit. I fasted. I prayed in the Spirit. And I prayed for my daughter and this other young lady. Well, come to find out, during this drama, this young lady's dad, who had been away from God for years and years, came to watch her be in this drama, and he got saved. He got rededicated. I guess he was already saved, but he dedicated his life back to God. He came back to God. He's been serving the Lord since. And so I knew after that why she was so attacked. And, and when my pastor told me that, I cannot tell you how many people from the church, this was a huge church, and they all said, we have never had a Christmas drama that has had the Spirit of God on it. People were standing, they were dancing, they were shouting. Y'all, it was, and I'm not just saying this because I'm, bragging on myself, because like I said, it was the most simple little childlike drama. God gave me dances. He showed me how, for the most simple dances that were so powerful, they were anointed. Y'all, I'm just saying all this to say, there was a death. There was from August, around August until December, when we did this drama, I had to die. I was mocked. I was ridiculed. I was accused. I was lied about. My daughter and this other girl, they were mocked. They were accused. It was horrible. I cannot tell you how bad it was. It was horrible to go through this at a church, but I really did. And it's the honest to God truth. God knows my heart. But the resurrection came, and so many people will touch, and I'm so thankful to God for that miracle. But anyway, I wanted to share that because I want us to know, I want every one of us to know that when we go through things, God, we cannot, and I felt abandoned by God. I'm like, God, how can you let this happen? I love this church. The pastor didn't even know what was going on, because I didn't say. It was a few of the leaders that were, and honestly, it was just like Pilate said, it was jealousy. It was jealousy because there was power on it, and maybe they didn't have a part in it. But, but that's how it is. It wasn't them. It was the enemy. The enemy will use people against us. And so anyway, I pray that that this helped you, that it will give you some some understanding that spiritual warfare is a real thing. The enemy's the accuser of the brethren. He will mock us. He will try to steal our hope. And even when we aren't even perfect and we do things, and he will use that against us. It doesn't matter, because God forgives us. He covers it with the blood, and he still comes through for his children. Anyway, I love you all so much. And I'm asking y'all, I normally don't ask this, but please like and maybe comment on this, because it causes other people to see it too. And anyway, I want everybody to be blessed and to be able to see, that, because a lot of people do not have any understanding of spiritual warfare, but it is a real thing. Anyway, I love you all so much. God bless you.